So what does it mean to be human? So I got to thinking about that. What does that mean to be human? Well, the song annoyed me because of the pain and struggle, but then I got to thinking about it. We do go through pain and struggle. I mean, to say we don't is just a lie. I mean, Jesus died on the cross, and trust me, he had some pain and struggle, okay? So the reality of pain and struggle seems to be a human thing. You know, now animals, they can have pain and they can struggle, but they don't have a thought process that tells them something. When they're sick and ready to die, they don't have some big emotional pity party. They just go die, okay? They don't go through that kind of thing. And so I was thinking about pain and struggling, and like I said, everybody knows everybody has it. I mean, we are human. And those are some of the things and the attributes that we actually can take on. Now, what I'm about to say is probably going to grind you a bit, but sometimes pain and struggling is not bad. It really isn't, because it's created in our creation to go through certain things of life to get to where God wants to take us. Now, I believe that God He is the architect of my life. I believe that with all my heart when I said yes to him. Now, granted, I might have went off and, you know, that straight wavy line thing. I've done that, haven't we all? But I began to look at things differently, that pain and struggle is not something necessary to avoid. I don't think you should run into it with stupidness, you know. You should have wisdom in your life, okay? I'm not saying you go, hey, let me see if I can just, you know, break my leg or something and have some pain and suffering. And the reason why I say that is because there have been religious peoples that would do just that. They would go up on temple things on their knees, and they do all this stuff, and that's not what I'm talking about. But what they did understand, that in the midst of suffering, something happens. It's like fasting. When you fast, you have this connection. But in the midst of suffering, there's something that happens with God that doesn't necessarily happen when you have a bright, sunny day. His presence is with you if you will allow it and not go into these places of self-pity. Now, we sang a song today, which I really, really, really like, because it says, weeping shall endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. Well, I'm telling you what, when you're weeping, you know, for a long time, like years, okay, kind of thing, you know, you wonder, you know, is this ever going to end? You know, like, where? But that weeping has to endure for that night. It has to. Now, in weeping, that doesn't mean you go, woe is me, why me? You don't do those things. What you do is you go, God, I recognize that you're the architect of my life. And if I'm going through this season, therefore you must have a joy in the morning somewhere. Okay, because that's the promise. If I got weeping for the night, that means joy is coming in the morning. Now, it's not on my timetable, but it's his. Now, what can the night mean? Okay, well, when I started looking it up, and then God told me to close the book and said, just talk. I said, okay. So the night can mean death. Okay? It can mean loss of anything. It can mean a different season of your life. It can mean, it's just a myriad of things that it can mean. But what it means is that you're uncertain of what this is. Does anybody relate? Yes, okay. So you're uncertain of what this is, like what's happening. And then, of course, all the spiritual emotions, and I did say spiritual emotions, because I really feel that in that moment you have spiritual emotions. It's like, you know, faithfulness, you have patience, you have love, you have grief, which I think is not always evil. And so you have all these different emotions going on, but you always have to yield them to him. And you cannot accuse, first of all, you cannot accuse God, and you certainly can't accuse yourself, and you can't accuse others. Accusations out of this spiritual component, or the enemy will have the glory in your suffering. You following me? And you never know when that season comes upon you. Instant in and out of season. It's not just about can you do something. It's about being ready for that next season whenever God says time. And you never know how long it's going to last. You do not. But I'm going to tell you, there is a fruitfulness in suffering. There is a fruitfulness in pain. There is a fruitfulness in weeping. There's a fruitfulness in sorrow. There is a fruitfulness. But you just got to be wise to find it out. You got to look in the scriptures. You got to see what God has to say. You got to bask in his glory and pray every day. But that's what you have to do during that time. And so I've changed my opinion on pain and suffering. I'm not looking at it like a martyr thing at all. That's not what God intended either. You know that Jesus had to feel everything to get to the very end. Why do you want to rip yourself off from feeling everything? Because I don't know when we leave this planet to go be with him, whether that's rapture or otherwise or whatever. I don't know that we'll be the same when we get back to feel all of that. I don't know. We could be. But every one of those feelings given to God is going to make you who you're going to be in eternity. And I believe we should start now and stop running from it and quit accusing God in the times when times are rough. It is hard work to work through rough, whatever it is. You can't just sit and expect that God's going to just go, whoa, you're good. No, it's an enduring thing. That's why that weeping shall endure for the night. That means you just get it out. You let it go. You just do it all. And don't be concerned what people think, or even if you're doing it right. Just be who you are before God and your vulnerability of pain and suffering. You know, pain and suffering can go deep or it can go kind of shallow even. You know, it's like, you can scrape your finger, and that hurts, ouch, ooh, it kind of, doesn't work for me when I'm trying to do dishes or something. But I'll tell you what, you gouge your arm and you've got stitches and stuff, that changes the whole dynamic of pain and suffering. But I'll tell you one thing that it all has to do with is pain and suffering. That's what our creation is. Now, granted, I know we could talk about, the fall of man and why we have pain and suffering with sin and all that stuff, because obviously that's the problem, is sin. But we're in the earth, and it's here, and this is what our world looks like. So much that Jesus, on the cross, knew he had to go through the same journey of pain and suffering. And he didn't try to run from it. He did ask God, hey, if this cup could be taken from me, Father, if it could. No, not in the plan. And we should do that too. Hey, can this cup be taken from me? No, not in the plan. That means, hunker down. You're going to have some great growing time. And I'm going to tell you, when you get through it, you will not be the same. You will not be the same.